The drive home was supposed to take 40 minutes, mostly down Blackwood Drive, a notorious, winding two-lane road cut directly through a dense, protected forest. Locals avoided it at night. They claimed the woods were alive with things that didn't belong to this world. I never believed them. I thought it was just a dark road with too many deer. But last night, the forest showed me what it was hiding. The night was suffocatingly dark. A thick, icy fog had rolled in off the mountains, clinging to the asphalt and reducing my visibility to almost nothing. My headlights could barely pierce 10 feet into the swirling white mist. It was just me, the quiet hum of my sedan's engine, and the endless black wall of towering pine trees on either side. I was about halfway through the deepest stretch of the woods when my dashboard lights began to flicker violently. The digital clock on my radio began to glitch, the numbers spinning uncontrollably before freezing completely at **2 o'clock a.m. Suddenly, the engine spluttered and my headlights dimmed to a dull, dying orange glow. I slowed down, trying to figure out if my alternator was failing. That was when she appeared. Right in the dead center of my fading headlight beam, less than 20 yards ahead, a woman was standing in the middle of the road. She was wearing a vintage, long white dress. It was pristine, unnaturally bright against the pitch-black asphalt. She was standing completely still, her back turned to me, her long black hair falling all the way down to her waist. My heart violently dropped into my stomach. A wave of pure, primal panic washed over me, freezing the blood in my veins. Finding a lone woman in a white dress in the middle of a haunted forest road at 2 in the morning is the ultimate warning sign. I slammed on my brakes. The tires shrieked against the wet pavement, and my car skidded to a halt just 10 feet away from her. I sat there, paralyzed behind the steering wheel. My throat went completely dry, and I was breathing so hard my windshield began to fog up. I wanted to honk. I wanted to roll down the window and scream at her to move, but I couldn't say a single word. Fear had completely stripped away my voice. She didn't move. She didn't flinch. But then, a freezing gust of wind rushed through the trees. The fog swirled wildly around her, but her white dress and her long hair remained perfectly still, completely unaffected by the wind. It was like she wasn't a physical person, but a glitch in reality itself. I desperately reached for the gear shift, intending to throw the car into reverse and get the hell out of there. But before my hand could touch the lever, the woman in the white dress began to turn around. She didn't turn like a normal human. She didn't take a step. Her body rotated slowly, smoothly, floating an inch above the cold asphalt. And when her front finally faced my windshield, the air completely left my lungs. She had no face. Where eyes, a nose, and a mouth should have been, there was nothing but a smooth, featureless mask of pale gray skin. It was a blank canvas. But as I stared in absolute horror, a jagged, horizontal tear violently ripped open across the bottom of her faceless skull. It stretched all the way from ear to ear, widening into a massive, hollow grin lined with rows of sharp, needle-like teeth. Suddenly, she dropped flat onto the asphalt, crouching on all fours like a massive, distorted spider. And with a sickening, wet speed, she bolted directly toward the hood of my car. Before I could scream, she leaped. Bang! Her hands slammed against my windshield, spiderwebbing the glass. Her faceless head was pressed directly against the glass, just inches from my face. Then, the Bluetooth speaker on my dashboard violently roared to life with a burst of deafening static. Scritch, scratch. A voice came through. It was frantic, terrified, and gasping for air. "Ethan! Oh my God, Ethan, lock your doors!" the speaker screamed. "Something is on the road. It's trying to get into the car. Reverse right now!" I stared at the dashboard in absolute horror. The voice screaming for help was my own voice. It was an identical, flawless replica of my own vocal cords, matching my exact panic and stutter. The entity on the windshield wasn't moving. The frantic, screaming voice was coming from somewhere deep inside its hollow chest cavity, looping like a broken cassette tape. "Ethan, let me in. It's cold. Let me in." When I didn't move, the screaming suddenly stopped. The panic instantly vanished from the speaker, replaced by a cold, dead, mechanical silence. Then the voice spoke again. It was still my voice, but the tone was slow, flat, and hollow. "Ethan, you're not opening the door. That's a violation of protocol." The creature began to scrape its long, sharp fingernails against the cracked windshield. Screech, screech. "Ethan, let me in," it whispered through the glass, using my voice. "I just want to borrow your face." Driven by pure, unadulterated terror, I finally snapped out of my paralysis. I slammed my foot onto the gas pedal. The engine roared back to life with a violent burst of power. The car launched forward, plowing right through the creature. I felt a sickening thud beneath my tires, but I didn't stop. I buried the speedometer at 90 miles per hour, tearing down Blackwood Drive, refusing to look at my rearview mirrors. I drove until the forest broke, until I finally saw the familiar, comforting streetlights of my own neighborhood. I pulled into my driveway, ran up the porch steps, slammed the heavy front door shut, and locked every single deadbolt. I collapsed against the door, sobbing violently, tears of pure relief streaming down my face. I had made it. I was safe. The house was quiet and warm. The digital clock on the microwave read 2:40 a.m. The nightmare was over. Exhausted, trembling, and covered in cold sweat, I walked into the master bathroom to wash the horror off my face. I turned on the faucet, splashed the freezing water over my eyes, and grabbed a towel to dry myself off. As I wiped my face and looked up into the large bathroom mirror, my heart completely stopped. My body went entirely numb, and the towel slipped from my limp fingers, hitting the floor with a soft thud. The reflection looking back at me had my clothes, my hair, and my watch. But my face was gone. In its place was a smooth, featureless mass of pale gray skin. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just a blank canvas. I tried to scream, but I had no mouth to form the sound. Only a pathetic, suffocating wheeze left my throat. Suddenly, from the other side of the glass, the reflection raised its hand and pressed its palm against the mirror. A terrifying, wide mouth filled with needle-like teeth ripped open across the smooth flesh. It smiled a sinister, mocking smile and spoke in my perfect, original voice. "Thanks for driving us home, Ethan. Your life feels so secure." I realized the horrifying truth too late. I had never escaped Blackwood Drive. The creature had glitched my mind to make me think I was safe, forcing me to let my guard down while it stripped my face in the dark forest. And now, I am the one trapped on the other side of the glass, looking out into a world that no longer belongs to me, while a faceless monster walks into my house wearing my skin.